Let's give Mr. Washington a warm welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing? Y'all get enough bacon and eggs and grits and ham and all that good stuff? That's good, that's good. Well, it's an honor to be here with you this morning. My name is Arlo, and thank you so much for that warm welcome, and thank you to the faculty and the staff for having me this morning. It's an honor to be before you. My story is an American history story. I grew up in low and moderate income communities, dealt with a lot of adversity growing up. I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I grew up feeling like, I know that there's something that I can do to create impact, not only for myself, but also for my community. People trust emerged out of an unmet credit need in our community. People trust in 2009, Arkansas became a credit desert. And a credit desert is where, how many of you know about credit? Raise your hand if you know about credit. Credit, okay, all right. And how important, let me see a show of hands if credit is important to you. All right. Okay, so the problem was that credit was not available in my community. I saw that. I experienced generational poverty myself. I saw that, man, I want to be able to do something about this. I wasn't tall enough to get to the NBA, and I didn't have the skill set to get to the NFL. But and I wasn't no rapper, and I wasn't no, and I said, there has to be something else that I can offer. I used to watch my barber cut hair in his room, and I said, you know what? I know this barber thing. This should be something that would be able to help me to be able to help myself and my community. So I moved to New York when I was 18 years old. I actually came to UAPB in 1995. Right out of high school, I came to UAPB, and I was going to Philander right out of high school. And my friend, my best friend, he said, you know what? He said, man, I'm going down to UAPB because they had a day here. It was homecoming, and it was packed. And so we came down, and we had such a good time. I fell in love with the campus. I'm going to UAPB. So I tried college for about 9 weeks. I went here for about a month. Yeah, about 9 weeks. Yeah. And I realized that a four-year institution just wasn't for me. So I decided I got into modeling, and I moved to New York when I was 18. Because I needed to make it. I didn't want to waste my time. I didn't want to be a failure. I had to do something. I had two younger sisters. My mother passed away when I was 17 years old, 2 weeks before I graduated high school. And so I moved to New York, transferred my job to Lens Crafters, worked there for about a year. And I wanted to get into modeling. I said I want to be a model. So I started going to go-sees and these different castings, and I experienced during that time. I was actually homeless for about a month, and so that right there showed me that that it's real out here. You know what I mean? I said it's real. I need to do something. I need a career that would allow me to support my modeling career. And then so I came home, got my barber license, and then I went back to New York. Worked in New York for a little while, moved back to Arkansas, started my first barbershop when I was 20 years old. When I started my first barbershop, I had $1,750 to start that barbershop with. That shop grew to 9 chairs in the first year. A little bit is a lot when God is in it. And so that shop grew to 9 chairs in the first year. After that, we said, I was training barbers when they came, and we were placing barbers throughout the community. And I said, we should do a barber college, because the barber college, we could train barbers and place barbers throughout the community. And so 2008, Washington Barber College was born. Washington Barber College, since then, 2010, we became a nationally accredited institution. And we started off with Pell Grants and direct loans. During that time, we noticed that financial literacy was missing in our communities. And that I already knew the issues that was plaguing the communities between other business owners coming into the barbershop talking about how hard it was for them to access capital, my own struggles accessing capital. And I said, you know what, there needs to be some mechanism for us to be able to provide loans to our community members that can't get loans from traditional banks. And so In 2009, Arkansas became a credit desert, meaning that predatory payday lending was banned in Arkansas, which was a good thing, but our legislators didn't come back with a safer alternative. And so we launched People Trust Community Loan Fund. And we started making loans because we wanted to help the students to be able to work with a financial institution and access credit when they couldn't access credit in the neighborhood. And so we started reporting credit to the credit bureaus while they were in the program. And so by the time they graduate, they would have a credit score, they would have a career, and they'd also be able to be sustainable, profitable, and scalable. And so what happened was, during that time, I didn't think about the fact that, then PPP hit, the PPP program and the pandemic, and a lot of business owners were struggling trying to get access to that Paycheck Protection Program so that they would be able to keep their doors open. And so we started providing Paycheck Protection Program loans, SBA loans, to our small business owners. We kept a lot of people's doors open, kept a lot of people from losing their businesses during that time. And so from there, all these business owners, we ended up doing $52 million in loans to 2,600 small businesses nationwide. After that, these business owners wanted to bank with us. They said, we don't want to go anywhere else and bank with anybody. We want to bank with People Trust. Well, September 14, 2022, we launched People Trust Community Federal Credit Union. And today, we have 1,200 members. We have online banking. We have debit cards, and we offer CDs, and we offer financial solutions for our community members that are unbanked and underbanked. Of course, that's a big thing. I can remember being in the barber shop, and one of the customers walked in, and he said, you know what? He said, I need a bank to thank, because he just couldn't think about what he couldn't get a piece of equipment because he couldn't get a loan. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to share that with you, because my story, my story may be similar to your story. I don't know if you decided what you want to do with your life, where you want to be, but where there's a will, there's a way, and you can do anything that you put your mind to. I mean, listen, I came from nothing, and today I'm the CEO and president of a financial institution, a minority depository institution. We're the first financial institution to open up in Little Rock in 40 years. And so I'm telling you that you can reach your goals, you can achieve your dreams. All you have to do is continue to work hard and just believe in yourself. And so that's one of the things I wanted to share. I want to also share, I put together a little bit of a, bear with me a moment. So, I saw a need in my community. And there are needs that you all would want to fill. You have to understand what your purpose is. And my mom always told me, she said, if you just trust God and seek Him, she said that you can do anything that you want to do. And I believe that I held on to that. And so I'm happy to be here with you this morning, and I just wanted to share my story with you. And then I also want to open it up for some questions as well. So, thank you.
Mr. Washington,
yes.
I wanted to know.
Good morning.
Good morning. I wanted to know, when you started this business, did you ever have, you felt like you just didn't have the certain things to start a business, and when you did feel like you didn't have enough items to start the business, what made you be like, okay, forget it, I'm just going to still start my business?
Well, one thing about it is I noticed that, if you have to build a plane while you fly the plane. So, everything, if you wait for everything to be perfect, then you'll have a failure to launch. So I had this $1,750, and you have to make wise use of the resources. You have to use what's in your hands. And so a lot of times we have what we need. We just have to, where there's a will, there's a way. And so I had this $1,750. This is back in 2000. And I took that $1,750 out, and I can tell you exactly how I used it. I went and I got me a lease at a building. I went to Home Depot and got me some countertop and cut it up in four and nailed that to the wall and put plant hooks in the side to hang my clippers on. Use extension cords and nail those to the wall to be able to be able to make everything work. And I work with what I had. I had my customers. When you trying to help yourself, other people will help you. And so when you think about having a budget, having a business plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Having a business plan and then putting that plan to work. You know, and my customers pitched in. They would pay me extra money to be able to, when I cut their hair, they would pay me extra, and we put down floors, we painted walls, and we worked through it. And that first year, you know, we grew to 9 chairs. So I would say that if you don't have what you need, then if you make 1 step, God will make 2 steps. If you make 1 step, He'll make 2 steps. And so, but we have to take that first step. Thank you.
All right, my name is Arian Wallace, political science
Good morning.
major. Like I just told you, my pops got his barber's license. I didn't got my hair cut by him before. Go and stop by there. My question I have for you is, knowing that not a lot of people, like we were talking about here, have exposure to financial literacy.
Yes.
When you were starting that, and you were having to have some tough conversations with different people, what would you say you identify when having those conversations with people? Because they had expectations, but some of their expectations might have been lower once coming, or came to a reality once they walked into your building.
Yes.
And you shared them games. So what's some of the when you started out, the tough conversations you had, and also helping people to be able to learn about what your goal was for the community?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, one of the things is, you know, you have to talk it into existence. You got to speak it into existence. And so I would always talk about my dreams, my goals. I used to have my pictures taped up around my station of, you know, where I wanted to be in life. And I always looked at that for motivation every day. A lot of customers, being a barber, a lot of customers come in and they share their whole life with you. And there was a very vulnerable, transparent moments between a barber and their customers. And so when customers would come in and they would share with me about their dreams, their goals, their visions, then I would share with them, you know, what I was going through, what I was dealing with. We kept a positive atmosphere. So I would say, like, to your question, I would say that it's iron sharpens iron, right? So when people come into the barbershop, then they would ask me for advice in terms of, and then they watch, you know, people watch you. They'll watch and see if you're steady going, then that motivates them to keep going. And so it's just a matter of, you know, financial literacy. I realized that was something that was missing because they don't teach it in school, they don't teach it at church, they don't teach it, you know, a lot of times even in college. And so you have to, it's a trial and error. So I learned by a lot of hard lessons, a lot of hard knocks. You know, they say experience is the best teacher. So I learned the hard way. And then, you know, one thing about it is you learn that that money affects more than your bank account. It affects your mood, it affects your, I mean, just think about it. If you don't have no money in your pocket, you feel real sad. You know, it affects your health. Your health and your health is directly tied to your financial well-being. And so it's important that, you know, that we have education about money. But the only way we get education is we got to have a money talk. But talking about money is hard a lot of times. Just think about if somebody owes you some money, how hard it is for you to talk to them. People are dodging. You know, it's kind of hard to have that conversation. And so in a lot of homes, there's not a lot of, if you don't start early, there's not a lot of conversations that happen when they're talking about money. So experience, getting you a checking account, getting you a savings account, walking in the bank and being able to make transactions, those are things that you have to do, and you can't be afraid of it. You know, fear and insecurity is what hold you back. So that's my answer to that one. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Taylor Washington.
Hi, Ms. Washington.
Hello. I'm a senior at the University Biology Medicine major, and I have a question. I remember you mentioned specifically that you lost your mother 2 weeks prior to graduating high school, and you were left to take care of your younger siblings. I wanted to know, how did you manage your mental health? Because you had to go through that traumatic situation as a child, and then you went, even though you persevered through that, you went to New York and then you encounter more
Yes.
tribulations. You were homeless. I would take it that you were still young, you were 18, so how were you able to manage mentally and still be able to persevere without, at least acknowledging that something is broken in you or something is wrong?
Yes. So early on, thank you. Early on, my mom taught me, she said, you just pray and you ask God for what you want and he'll give it to you. And if you put your trust in him, then he'll make a way out of no way. So I held on to that as a kid growing up. And so when I ran into it and endured hardships, when I experienced losing my mom, I leaned on God. And what I did, I kept myself busy. I buried myself in what I was doing in terms of my profession and my career. And that's what helped me to make it through those tough times. So, just keeping goals, setting goals, and making sure that you always have short-term and long-term goals are critical. So, not being around the wrong crowd, hanging around people that's not going anywhere with their life. So I always surrounded myself with positive people, and I always kept positive energy going in terms of conversation. If somebody was talking to me or I was talking to them, I never did entertain any negativity, because you have to protect your mental health, especially being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, you work twice as hard as when you work for yourself than when you work for someone else. So I managed that through prayer and through hard work and dedication.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Johnny Henderson, and my major is Industrial Technology Management and Applied Engineering.
Awesome.
My question is, you stated that you went to New York
Yes.
and you were homeless for a month,
Yeah.
and you left, but you went back.
Mm-hmm.
What was so important about New York that made you go back?
I didn't want life to defeat me. And I felt like if I ran in, I'd be running my whole life. Plus I had a goal that I wanted to do, and I didn't want nothing to stop me. So let me just give you a little bit of backstory. So I moved to New York. I lived with my brother's girlfriend cousin. So I rented a room, right? I didn't have any family there. I knew that New York was where I needed to go if I wanted to make it in my modeling career. And so when I went to New York, I was working at LensCrafters at first, and so I had to but LensCrafters was taking up a lot of the time that I couldn't go to go-sees and castings to pursue my career goal. And so when I came back to Arkansas, I came back to get my barber license, and I went back to New York because I felt like that I would be able to have more control over my schedule if I was working for myself. I could determine my own schedule, set my own hours, and then I'd be able to go and do more things. And so when I went back, I ended up renting another room from a construction company where they wanted me to go to work at the construction site every day. So I decided not to go to the construction site after about a month of doing that and went to the barbershop, right? So when I came back to come home one day from the barbershop, they told me because I didn't go to the site, even though I was paying my rent, they had to get somebody that would go to the site. So I had to leave right then. So I was left outside at that point to go to sleep in the barbershop and then from pillow to post until I could save me enough money to get me a place. And that's what I did. So I just determined never to give up. And so I ended up saving enough money to get me a place. And once I got the place, I realized I didn't want New York no more. I didn't want to be in the rat race anymore and pursue that type of career. I wanted a backyard. I wanted a home. I wanted my life to mean something. I wanted to create some impact and help my community. And so that's when I decided to come back to Arkansas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Taylor Whitty. I am a graduating senior major in business administration
Awesome.
with a concentration in finance.
Yes.
And my question to you is, as a person that's so successful in the community, what advice would you give us as college students that wants to start a successful business as well?
That's great. That's great. I would say that think about what solution are you going to solve in the world? What's missing out there what service can you provide that's not out there? You got to find your niche. You have to find your niche. And you said you're a business major in finance? That's awesome, because there's a lot. Your gift will make room for you. You know, if you go out and you don't doubt yourself, you don't doubt yourself and you go out there, you show up, you be the first one there. One of the things I can tell you when I first started out as a barber is I was the first one there and I was the last one leaving. And like, to be honest with you, I can tell you, I stayed up all night last night working on a platform to be able to provide. Have you heard of digital currency? You heard of digital currency? Okay, we're working on. How many heard of cryptocurrency? Okay, all right. So we're working on developing a decentralized platform to be able to offer crypto loans and do the whole process in cryptocurrency. That's a whole other level of finance that our community members are not exposed to. And so, we think about when we go to work. No, you gotta show up. We have to show up for the community. I do these things because, and my staff, because we want to make sure that we provide a good service to the community. A lot of times, there's not a lot of opportunity a lot of times in finance for oftentimes people of color. There are not a lot of opportunities. And then when you do, then now you got to think about how you can grow in that space. But it's so important because you will be the gateway to a lot of the community members being able to access capital and access credit and create opportunities for their life. I just wanted to, so that's great. I wanted to share that part with you because it takes hard work and it takes dedication. If it was easy, everybody be doing it. If it was easy, everybody be doing it. So, I want to motivate you this morning to know that, if you look at me, if I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with positive people. When you're in class, make sure you get all you can, learn all you can, and can all you can get. And remember that can't never could.
Hello, my name is Janiyah Cherry. I
How you
am
doing,
a
Ms. Cherry?
junior here at the university,
Awesome.
majoring in business administration with a concentration in management.
Awesome.
My question is, have you always had a love for being a barber, or is that something that you did to kind of start your business and it just happened to work out?
Yeah, that's a good one. So my mom used to braid hair in the neighborhood. She braided hair in the neighborhood, and I used to always watch her with hair. And then I had my barber, before he became a professional barber, he cut hair in his house. And he used to cut everybody's hair. So, and I'm going to just tell you a story. I was in a barber shop, and I used to sweep the barber shop up to get my hair cut. And I used to watch my barber, and his name was Royale. And he used to have everybody, he used to always pull these big bank rolls out. He used to have everybody in the barber shop laughing, and it was just a good atmosphere. And one day I was in the shop, and I had swept up the shop all day. I was waiting on a haircut, and this guy walked in, and he was in a hurry. He was like, he said, little man, let me give you, he asked Roy, he said, can I go next? He said, well, he's next, little man's next. And so he said, he came to me, he said, you got to ask him. So he said, well, man, little man, let me give you $30 to go next. Okay, $30 at that time was a lot of money for me. So I said, you know what? I said, man, you know what? I took the $30. I said, man, this barbering thing is for real. They can get money with barbering. And so I that right there told me that it was money in the hair industry. And so whenever I was unsure about my career goals, that was what I fell back on, right? It was like what I remember. I fell back on barbering. And so barbering was my passion. I've had 7 barbershops, established 7 barbershops, a barber college, have a barbershop right now, always employ people in the barbering industry. But then while doing that, finance became a thing because I noticed how hard it was for barbers to be able to access capital to be able to start their barbershop, or how difficult it was when you graduate barber school to be able to pay booth rent. I realized how difficult that was. So I've always been a solutions-driven person. And so one of the things I've always taught, ain't nobody coming to get you. Nobody's coming to rescue you. So you got to make sure that you do what you have to do. You got to create opportunity for yourself. And where there's a will, there's a way. And so anytime it's an obstacle, it's always opportunity. And so that's what really drove me. And I still love barbering, but at the same time, I have a higher calling. Your career goal, you don't know where your life gonna end up. Today you might be doing this, and if you when you stay in that, your life evolves into something greater. Because if, in business, if you don't grow, you die. So you gotta always keep growing. You gotta always be seeking ways to improve yourself and be the best you can be.
Good morning. My name is Brianna Butler, and
Good morning.
majoring in political science. Piggyback off of what you said last about how having to grow, my question to you is, how do you deal with a dry season financially and be able to recover from that, especially when your clientele, if they're coming in at a steady pace, but then for whatever reason it starts to slow up. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a faith walk. And faith ain't faith when you can see it. So you have to believe that, if you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, like you showing up when you're supposed to be there. I talk to some people sometimes, and they're saying, well, they want better, but they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They want to just be comfortable. And in order for you to be able to reach the next level, you have to be uncomfortable. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes. And then you got to continue to do the right thing. Because you have to realize that as long as you're doing all you can, if you do your duty that's best, and then leave up to the Lord the rest. But that's what we have to do. You got to do those types. You got to show up when you're supposed to be there. Don't get there ahead of time. Be first one there, last one leave. And I tell people 6 months test anything. 6 months test a relationship. 6 months test a business. 6 months. In 6 months, if you did everything you can do, in 6 months it ain't working, then you need to pivot. Don't be afraid to pivot, right? So sometimes you have to pivot in life in order to be able to get to the next level. And so in those dry seasons, I just remember the good seasons. I remember that I let the good time, then I count my blessings. I think about it. I remember being homeless. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, when I finally did lay down in a bed and I finally did get a chance to take a shower, man, I appreciated that little bitty room. I appreciated it because when you learn how to live off of less, and then you actually have something to help you to be able to appreciate your blessings. So if you just count your blessings, and you think about, and don't get into no funk, don't have no pity party. If you keep your attitude determines your altitude. So if you just keep the right attitude, and the difference between a good day and a bad day is your attitude. So, if you just keep that positive energy going in those dry seasons, then, weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. Trouble don't last always. And the greater the sacrifice, the greater the reward. If it's hard for me right now, then that just means it's going to get greater later.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, my name is Perry Williams. I'm a graduating senior major in computer science here at the university.
Yes, awesome.
My question for you is, as you grown from, you originally started your barbershop, you by yourself, kind of trying to do your own thing.
Yeah.
How have you gone about choosing people to be on your team as you've grown into now, where you do actually own a federal credit union? How have you gone about choosing team members?
Oh, that's a great question, and that's also one that you have to be very mindful about, prayerful about, because you have to have that discerning. You have to have people that your initiatives have to align. If my initiative and your initiative align, then we can work together, right? So we have to make sure that you're around like-minded people. And so what I do is, I like to ask people when I first meet someone, what are your goals? And if they don't have no goals, then I don't really want to hang around them too much, because I know that they don't want much out of life. So I look at people's whatever their motivation is, what their drive, what do they want out of life. So I always try to find that out during interviews. I find that out while we're working together. And as long as our initiatives align, then the rest of it we can work out. And so I choose wisely. So proceed with caution, because sometimes people are a hindrance and they're not a help.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tamaya Hullum. I'm a sophomore majoring in nutrition and food science.
Man, so many smart people.
My question for you is, have you ever considered hosting financial workshops for young entrepreneurs such as myself and other peers in the room today?
Absolutely. We have we do one-on-one financial literacy all the time, especially with entrepreneurs. Because a lot of times you have an idea, you have something that you love, something that you're passionate about, but then you don't know how it. You got to think about the income generating activities. What is it that I love? I may love knitting sweaters, but does that generate income? And does it and do I have a business model that generates income that will make my business sustainable? Number one, and then profitable. Number two. And then am I able to scale that business? Number three. So financial literacy is key because one of the things we do what you call a cash flow budget projection. And so we do a cash flow budget projection and it tell you what you got coming in, what you got going out, and how much you got to keep to the next month. It's only three main things to a budget. How much you got coming in, how much you got going out, and how much you got to keep to the next month. That's it. And so we do it all the time. I would love to do financial literacy with you all. We can do virtual. We have an online platform that we offer as well called Initiate. That you give me your email, I send you a link, and then it's interactive and it's virtual, and it allows you to learn about the basics of financial, understanding your finances, understanding how it works. Am I out of time? I didn't say anything. But yeah, so that's what we do financial literacy all the time.
So that was our last and final question anyway from Mr. Washington. So students, let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank y'all so much for your time. Thank y'all for those questions. I'd be more than happy to share my contact information with you as well if you are wanting financial literacy because it's so important, especially right now while you're in college. Thank you.